Hi there, I'm Kristen, Doctor of Physical Therapy at Into the Light Healing and Bodywork. This TherEx Flow has been designed to stretch and strengthen appropriately for a lumbar or low back disc herniation. Be sure to listen to the cues from your body. That's always most important as we go through this practice. If something causes pain or it doesn't feel right, just make adjustments or maybe even just skip that posture altogether. I do not recommend doing this series if you have a diagnosis of lumbar stenosis, spondylolysis, spondylolisthesis, or spondylolisthesis. Okay, after all of that, let's just get started. Okay, we're going to stay low to the ground today, so let's start laying on our backs. And as you get down there, just be careful and slow about how you move. Trying not to twist your back too much. And when you arrive in this laying down posture, I invite you to bring the heels of your hands into the crease right where the leg meets the pelvis. And I'd like you to try pressing the hands into the tops of the thighs and elongating the spine away from the pelvis and the legs. So it's kind of a subtle thing, and just kind of work with it, play with it for a moment, seeing how different it feels to press into the heel of the hand that is pressing into the thigh. Notice if you can relax your back as you press into the arms. And there is an alternative for this type of self-traction. If you put your legs like up over the arm of a couch or something, so that's just kind of sitting right up against the thighs, and then you have your back kind of maybe hanging just a little bit, an inch or two even, above the floor. That helps to provide that little bit of traction through that low back. If you have that option available to you, that's a good one too. It can be a little bit like stronger, more of a stretch than the self-traction with your hands. I've also had patients who've used like a broomstick or something to press into the thighs. So taking as much time as you need here, really. I mean, you can always push pause and hold it for like 15 minutes if you wanted. But if you don't, we're going to move on. So let's try releasing the arms down to the sides and just working on some abdominal breathing here. So being a little bit more mindful about the abs as we breathe and being intentional about bringing the breath into the belly. So as we breathe in, we're going to imagine that we're inflating a balloon inside the belly, causing it to inflate and stick up towards the ceiling. And then as we exhale, we're going to just let the air out. And then maybe at the bottom, engage the abdominals just a little bit to tighten the low ribs in together. And continue trying to feel that expansion as you breathe in, and the contraction as you breathe out. Continue to feel that for a few breaths. And notice any changes in your body as you do so. Maybe even offering a moment of gratitude that you are able to feel your body. So with this next one, let's add a pelvic tilt to the end of it. So we're going to breathe in together, expanding the belly, and then as we breathe out and we engage the abdominals, this time we're going to lengthen the spine away, tucking that tailbone under and pulling the pubic bone up towards the low ribs. We're just kind of bringing that area smaller. Try to only do this by using the abdominal muscles. If you notice your hamstrings or your glutes turning on, let's try again. Okay, so we're going to inhale, filling the belly at rest. And then as we exhale, we're engaging those low abdominals and scooping the belly. It's like we're scooping the belly button in and up towards the diaphragm. Inhaling, relaxing everything. And then exhaling, creating that space in the low back, that space between the lumbar vertebrae, that space where the discs are, that cushion the vertebrae as we move through gravity every day. Continue flowing with your breath, engaging and releasing. Inhale, relaxed. Exhale, work. And once again, you have the opportunity here to pause and continue to flow for 5 minutes if it feels good. But if not, we're going to move on to the next thing. So after our next inhale here, filling the belly again, as we exhale, this time we're going to keep everything nice and tight through our back and then lift a straight back, straight spine. Pelvis comes up towards the ceiling. Option here to return back down to the floor as we exhale after an inhale up. And then continue, exhale, squeeze the buns, lift up. Inhale here, exhale, lower down. Or if you wish, we can stay here for a moment, maybe even tucking the shoulder blades underneath, bringing the arms together. Keep those abdominals tight. Keep the knees under control and kind of pointing up and away from your shoulders. And if the flow doesn't feel right after, if the hold doesn't feel right after a moment, go back into a flow. We have options here because this is your practice. And I'm just showing you, suggesting different exercises that you can take and do your own thing with as you feel more comfortable. Also have an option here to press the back of the head straight back into the floor, and notice how that engages the muscles of the neck. And it brings a little bit more support to the spine, maybe even like a sense of comfort that the muscles are there to support the spine and everything that goes along with it. Okay, so enough of those. Let's keep the left knee bent, and we're going to straighten out the right. So with this exercise, we're going to keep reaching the heel away from the body, toes pulled up towards the knee, not quite in like a hyperextension if you're very flexible, but a slight bend through the knee, reaching the back of the heel away. And what we'll do here is on an exhale, we're going to tighten the abdominal muscles, knit those low ribs together, bend the right knee, slide the heel up along the mat, and then lift the heel up towards the ceiling, straightening out the leg. And then here comes the hard part. As we exhale, we're going to lower that heel down towards the floor with control. And as we reach just maybe an inch hovering above the floor, we're going to bend the knee, slide the heel along the floor, lift up, and repeat. Have a little freedom here with the speed of the motion. I like to stick with the flow of my breath as much as able when I'm talking. If you notice any clicking or popping, especially in the hip joint with this one, try making an adjustment or re-engaging the abdominals, or taking a rest and then starting again. And then we'll do one more here, and this time as we go down, we're not going to bend the knee. We're going to hover that heel just an inch or two above the floor. It's okay if you can't see how high it actually is. It doesn't matter as much. You just want to engage the abdominals just enough to strengthen and build your core. Keep reaching the heel away from the body, crown of the head away from the heel. Slight tuck of the chin anytime is fine. And then release that leg all the way down. Good job. Okay, so we're going to switch legs here. Left heel is going to go out long, reaching away from the body. Right knee is bent. We're going to start with the bicycle, so scooping those low abs in and up. Knit the low ribs together here. We're going to bend the left knee, sliding the heel along the mat. Straighten the heel up towards the ceiling, and then slowly lower down, keeping control here of the abs, the hip, the knee, the thigh, everything. Even your toes are engaged here. It's a lot to think about all at the same time, but I believe in you. Sometimes I think it's a lot harder to do slowly because it's more about control and precise movement, whereas if you're moving quickly, you do the work and you do it with power. But there's something to be said about being able to control a slow movement. Different muscles, I suppose, different muscle fiber types. I am not counting. So if you are, and you've done the same amount on the left as you have on the right, feel free to bring the left leg to a hover. Keeping that heel an inch or two off of the ground, reaching like crazy away from your body. Crown of the head also reaches away, maybe slight tuck of the chin towards the throat. Reaching. Keeping the right knee pointing up towards the ceiling. Sometimes that likes to fall either in or out. Keep those low ribs knit together. And when you've had enough, go ahead and let it down. Okay, this time we're going to roll onto the right side. So finding a way you can protect your spine and do that at the same time, tucking the chin up towards the throat, maybe even. And we're going to come up onto the elbow. The elbow is going to be right underneath the shoulder joint, and instead of your hand being right in front of you, we're going to turn it out about 45 degrees towards the corner of the mat maybe. And then we're going to stretch the legs out long, and imagine that we are kind of on a tightrope here from the elbow to the hip and the knee and the ankle, all in one straight line here. Left hand can either be on top of you for a little balance challenge, or kind of bracing and steadying yourself in front of your pelvis. So we're going to pull the shoulder blades down the back here, pressing into that elbow and really creating some integrity through that right shoulder. And then we're going to tuck the chin in, making sure our head is in line with the rest of the spine, and just allow that right ear to release towards the right shoulder. Just allowing that stretch to kind of happen. And then maybe even releasing the low ribs towards the floor. As long as it does not create any pinching pain in your low back. It should feel kind of nice, creating some space, but that's not true for everybody. So just Know your body. Release and breathe. And then we're going to come on to the belly. So nice tight abdominals here before you move, kind of bracing the core. Hands are going to be underneath the shoulders. And we're going to press the tops of the feet down into the floor. Press the pubic bone down into the floor. Engage the abdominals, scooping that belly button in and up like we practiced earlier, laying on our backs. And then lengthen the spine up and away as we lift the chest up to face forward. Shoulder blades are melting down the spine. The low back muscles here are super engaged. And then we're going to release back down. Once again, inhale and prepare, pressing the pubic bone, the tops of the feet into the mat, and then exhale with those tight abdominals, lifting the chest forward. Tuck the chin towards the throat just a little bit. And we're not really putting any weight through the hands here. We're just holding them under the shoulders. Last one here. Inhale, prepare. And then exhale, lift. Reaching the crown of the head away from the tailbone, opposite directions here. Elongating the spine, strengthening the low back. And then we're going to come all the way down. And option 2, place the hands underneath the forehead just for the ability to breathe while you're doing this next one. What we're going to do is let's tuck the right toes underneath. So they're kind of stretching out the bottom of the foot here. And forehead to your hands if you can manage just listening. I'm going to talk at you a little bit. And I think it sounds funny if I talk to my mat. So we're going to first lift the back of the right knee up towards the ceiling. So it's kind of a subtle maneuver, but we did it earlier when we were lowering the leg with the bicycle. So it's just a reaching of that heel away from the body, and that activates the quads, the muscles in the front of the thigh, to allow a lift through that leg. So after all of this, we'll start the exercise. So we're going to keep everything strong. Belly button is pulled in and up. The pubic bone is pressed into the mat. Toes are pressed into the mat. We're going to lift the right leg. Toes come just an inch or two off of the floor. It's not very much at all if you do it correctly. And we're just going to lift and lower. Lift and lower. Try to keep your upper body and your head relaxed. Just a slight rotation of the right side of the pelvis. Activation of the glute muscles, the buns. Lengthening through the heel, reaching away. And that right knee never falls down towards the floor. It is always lifted, straight knee. And then we're going to release that right one and let the top of the foot be on the floor, maybe even shake it out a moment if you need to. And we're going to repeat that but on the left side. So tuck those left toes under, lift the left knee, quads activate, and straighten that left knee. Reach the heel away from the body, and then lift those toes just an inch or two up off of the floor. It's probably not going to come super far, and that's totally okay. It's not supposed to. Keep those pubic bones anchored into the ground, abdominals tight. And once again, I failed to count. So If you're counting and you've done the same on the other side as you've done on this side, please stop. Oh, someday I'll get it together. Okay, and then we're going to relax, even if we haven't quite gotten even. We're going to bring the left elbow underneath that left shoulder and roll onto the left side. So tight tummy here as we lift up and shift over. Once again, that left forearm is going to be turned about 45 degrees up at an angle. We're pressing into the left elbow here to create integrity through that left shoulder, and we're not collapsing into it. We're on that tightrope again, and we're stretching those heels away from the body. Hand either in front of you for balance or up on your thigh for a little balance challenge. We're going to pull the chin in towards the throat and just let that left ear fall over the left shoulder. Feel free to elongate that spine and relax the low ribs towards the floor. If you elongate and relax in just the right way, you will notice that there's not really a collapsing sensation through the top ribs. But if it's not quite there, keep working at it. Pull the shoulder blade down the back. This feels nice on the neck and on the low back. The side bodies. All right. Nice tight tummy here before we turn onto our bellies. Once again. And then with the hands underneath the shoulders, once again, we're going to plant the knees down and lift into a modified plank. So scoop that belly button in and up and press into the hands, lifting the torso up onto the knees. There. Try to keep a nice straight line here from the knees up to the crown of the head. So that might mean retracting the head a little bit. And if at any time you start to feel fatigued, please take a rest. All right, we're going to lift the buns up, bending at the hips, and then we're going to place the elbows where the hands were. And bring that torso forward once again, allowing the spine to relax from the waist down and lengthen the spine up and away from the waist up. Lengthening the crown of the head, and with our forearms here, we want to create a box or a square with the joints of the wrists and the joints of the elbows. We don't want those wrists to collapse in towards each other, and we want to maintain integrity through our shoulder joints by pulling the shoulder blades down the back. This is a lot to think about, and I'm with you if it's overwhelming. Just remember it's a practice, and as you repeat these exercises, it will become more natural to do them with integrity. Just keep trying, hang in there. This should allow a little bit of traction in a different way in your low back. Really pressing into those elbows and lifting the torso up from the waist and letting it relax down the lower half. All right, and then relaxing down. Take a moment here. Feel free to bring the hands underneath your shoulders. We're going to come up onto hands and knees with an exhale, and we're going to bring the right leg up so the shin is parallel with the front edge of the mat. And we're going to go ahead and sit on that right hip, and we're going to get a nice little stretch in here. So the shin is pretty much parallel with the front edge of the mat, what we're going to do is just walk our hands forward so our torso comes over top of the thigh, and then we're going to turn the torso just a little bit with the core engaged so that the arm can be along the shin and the shoulder can be on top of the knee, okay? I know that's a lot to think about. And then we can tuck the thumb inside the left armpit, right thumb in left armpit. Tuck the chin towards the throat and lengthen the crown of the head. If this is enough for you to kind of be on the side, that's great. If you want a little bit more challenge and a little bit more stretch, you can try walking the left toes back a little bit more. This is a nice, safe, and supported hip stretch. This is another one that's kind of nice to hold for a long time, really allowing the change to happen in your tissues. Alright, and then we're going to release the hands and press up. Bring the right foot down to meet the left. We're going to lift up onto our wrists here with a semi-straight elbow. We want it to be kind of straight but not quite locked, so a little slight bend in there so that the arm lays nicely alongside the ribs. And then we're going to get back into that tightrope position with the rest of the body. So here we're in the full side stretch. Again, left hand can either be up for a challenge or help to steady, keeping that little bit of bend through the elbow, length through the legs, lifting the chest and lifting the head, and then letting the ear fall over that right shoulder. Right shoulder does not feel compressed or packed in because of the press into the hand. Not just the wrist, the hand. Make sure you're trying to put weight through the fingertips. And that little bit of bend in the elbow protects the wrist. Don't feel too much collapse happening up here because of the lift through the spine. I kind of feel like too, if you reach a little bit with your left heel, top leg heel, that will help to prevent that too. Okay, we're going to come onto our bellies once again. So lower first onto the elbow. Nice tight tummy as we roll to the stomach. Hands underneath the shoulders. Toes together, big toes together, and backs of the feet or tops of the feet pressing into the floor. Pubic bone pressing into the floor. Inhale here, and then as we exhale, tighten the belly muscles. Lift the back. Strengthen the low back. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then let's release. And then let's add something. Let's add a little bit of variation for the arms. So whether you would prefer to lift and bring the arms alongside the body, or interlace the fingers over your bum. Remember, still pushing the pubic bone into the floor, reaching the arms out to the side for a lift and hold. This one feels majestic. Or bringing the arms in a Y. I can't do that right now, but in a Y in front of you. That one's super hard because of physics and length of things. Arms. I like this one for right now. So let's hold. Find one you like and let's hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. We're going to lower down here, press up onto all fours, and then we're going to bring the left shin parallel with the front edge of the mat, or somewhat parallel. Just do the best you can do. We are going to sit on that left hip, and then we're going to bring that left arm so that it goes alongside of the left shin, left shoulder stacked on top of that left hip if you can do it. Left thumb goes into the right armpit. Tuck the chin, retract the head. If you can walk your foot back a little, go ahead and do that. If you need a support or a lift somewhere, go ahead and do that. That's totally okay. We're also working the spinal muscles of the neck with this one. If you notice yourself tensing your muscles in a certain area, not intentionally, it just happens sometimes. You notice that, see what happens if you relax those muscles intentionally. Are you able to deepen your stretch? Did you need that guarding? You've had enough on this side. We're going to press up. Hand goes underneath the shoulder. Legs go back on that tightrope. Elbow slightly bent. And arm alongside the rib cage. Reaching those heels away from the body. Engage the abdominals, but allow a stretch through the left side body as you release the head over the left shoulder, just to go as much as it will go. Press down into the fingertips. And then you can bend your hips and your knees a little bit and lower onto your elbow, and then we're going to come back onto the belly. This time we're going to press up into a full plank. So we'll start hands underneath the shoulders. We're going to start by pressing up onto the knees. So keep those elbows tight in towards your rib cage as you press up onto the knees, and then we're going to lift the knees up, toes are tucked under, to come into a full plank. Pull the head back. Keep those abdominals engaged, low ribs are knit together. We'll just hold it for just a few more seconds, maybe 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we're going to flip the tops of the feet down to the mat, and then really pull through the arms, pulling forward, lifting the chest, allowing the lower body to reach down towards the ground, but keeping a slight activation through that low back, slight activation through the core, keeping the legs just slightly up off of the floor. And then we're going to bend the knees, widen them, and bring our bottoms all the way down to our feet, stretching the hands forward and letting that low back release. Take a moment to maybe lift one side and then the other, or reach to one side and then the other if you need that in this moment. Maybe turning the head left and right. Always, always, always with this one, reaching your seat towards your heels and hands reaching in the opposite direction. Allowing your breath to change and make space in your back, which is flat, by the way. And it just occurred to me too to mention that the way that my body does this shape is probably not the way that your body does this shape, and that is totally okay. Work with what you have. I think I'm pretty flexible, so if you are not, that's okay. Please don't be discouraged. Know that you are working on helping your body to heal, and that's really what matters, not what shape you're in. Alright, and then we're going to come up onto all fours. Hands underneath the shoulders and knees underneath the hips as best as you are able. We're going to tuck those toes underneath again, and then we'll pull the shoulder blades down the back, really creating integrity for those shoulders, and press into the fingertips here. We're going to tighten the abdominal muscles, knitting the low ribs together, and then as we exhale, we're going to just push the toes away, lifting the knees ever so slightly up off of the mat. Keep pushing out through your hands, fingertips, shoulders. Breathe like you mean it, and then release down. We're going to try that a couple more times. And as you improve, get stronger, feel better, maybe holding it for longer. All right, exhaling, everything's tight. Lifting those knees just an inch or two. 5, and then release down. Always an option too, if you have wrist problems, to press into fists and keeping your wrist in a neutral. The wrists are not too happy about taking your weight. All right, last one. Pull the belly button in and up. Nice flat back here. Lift the knees just an inch. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Lower down. You made it. We're going to sit back and find a comfortable position. So probably laying on your back, your side, or your stomach. We're going to make our way all the way down. Try relaxing into this new strength, this new stretch and space that we've found today in this practice. If you'd like, you can even return to the self-traction that we started with. But I just invite you to take a few moments to breathe and to notice what it is that you're feeling in your body right now. Is there any tension or areas that have relaxed? Do you notice another area that needs attention? Just take inventory here. And then I invite you to call to mind 3 blessings in your life, 3 things for which you are grateful. And then notice how your body feels as you think of these things. And of course, there's always the option to pause and take some more time if you can. But if not, I will say goodbye for now. The light and spirit in me honors and appreciates the light and spirit in you. Let peace be with you. See you next time.